I want to give you guys a few examples of predictions that I got wrong. But before I do that, I first want to explain the three different types of boxing predictions. The first type is predicting the winner. The second type is predicting the method of victory. So is it going to be by knockout or is it going to be on points? And the third type is predicting the nature of the fight. So by that, I mean, is it going to be a chess match? Is it going to be a slugfest? Is it going to be a shootout that ends early? Or is it going to be a fight which ends late? Is it going to be a fight which goes a lot of rounds or not? Etc. So those are the three different types of boxing prediction. Now, sometimes you combine a couple of those different types of prediction. For example, you might pick fighter A to win. You're not sure whether he's going to win by knockout or on points, but you are sure that it's going to be a long fight. Or you are sure it's going to be a chess match. Or you are sure that it's going to be a slugfest, etc. Another example of how you might combine two of those types of prediction. You're not sure who's actually going to win, but you are sure that it's going to be a slugfest. You are sure that it's going to go a certain number of rounds, or you are sure that it's going to end early. Now, the significance of combining these different types of predictions is that if you're able to combine these different types of predictions and add this extra detail on top of who you're picking to win, this suggests that you actually have an advanced understanding. If you're able to do this accurately, get it right, it shows that you have an advanced understanding and that it wasn't just pot luck in terms of getting your prediction right. Because anybody, even if you've never watched a boxing match before in your life, anybody has a 50-50 chance of accurately predicting the winner of any boxing match, because there's only two contestants in there. All right. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I want to give you some examples of predictions I got wrong. And certainly with the first couple of examples, it shows that I didn't have advanced knowledge, at least of one of the fighters. Hence why I got the predictions so badly wrong, and I acknowledged as much in my post-fight videos. The first one is right here. Lee Selby versus Josh Warrington. I predicted that Lee Selby would comfortably outbox Josh Warrington. I hadn't seen that much of Warrington. I'd seen, a few rounds of some of his fights, and I was put off by the fact that he wasn't a puncher. My perception of Josh Warrington was that he was just this feather-fisted fighter without much skill who just comes forward and tries to win on work rate. I clearly hadn't paid enough attention, because not only did he outwork Lee Selby when they fought, but he actually outboxed him. In fact, you could even say he outclassed him. So I was very surprised, not only by the winner of this fight, but the way the fight actually played out surprised me, because if Warrington had just outworked Selby, it would have surprised me, but it wouldn't have surprised me as much as seeing Warrington even outbox him, So that was an example of something I got totally wrong. Spoke about it in the post-fight video here. But I didn't learn my lesson either from this fight, because he went on to fight Carl Frampton, and I thought to myself, okay, he beat Lee Selby, but Selby's not really a puncher. Frampton's a puncher, and he can intimidate Warrington with that power, and that will cut down Warrington's work rate. And Frampton is more experienced at a higher level than Lee Selby is. But once again, Josh Warrington proved me wrong, and I went on my Facebook boxing group afterwards and said, hey, I did not expect that. Josh Warrington once again has left me with egg on my face. He's a lot better than I thought he was. Now, a couple of examples of fights where the winner didn't surprise me, but the method of victory surprised me. Sergio Martinez, when he had the rematch with Paul Williams. He knocked Williams out with one punch in the second round. I did a post-fight video at the time saying, I'm shocked that this fight ended in the second round with a one-punch KO. I did not see it coming, and neither did Paul Williams. So again, Sergio Martinez winning didn't shock me, but the method of victory did shock me, and I expressed that in my post-fight review. Another one here was Lucas Matisse versus Lamont Peterson. I thought this fight would go rounds, and I was surprised that it ended early, that it was just a total blowout. There were a few other people at the time who said that Matisse is going to blow him out, but I definitely wasn't one of them, and I was definitely surprised by the outcome, and I expressed my surprise in this post-fight review video. And most recently, when Josh Taylor fought Ivan Baranchyk, I predicted Josh Taylor to win. I thought he'd win quite comfortable, either by late stoppage or on points. I didn't think Baranchyk would give him much trouble. But once again, I hadn't been paying close enough attention to Baranchyk. I didn't have advanced knowledge of this fighter. I'd seen a couple of his fights and I wasn't particularly impressed. Okay, now, again, some people are going to say Josh Taylor did win comfortably on the points. Hatman, what are you talking about? You got your prediction right and you're acting as though you got it wrong. Well, all I can tell you is that the fight I expected in my head is not the fight that I saw with my own eyes. I felt as though Taylor would be more comfortable than he was. That's what I'll say. So again, that was me not having advanced knowledge of Baranchyk. Now, I say all that to say this. There was an individual in my boxing group, I think it was yesterday, who put up some post claiming that Hatman always sits on the fence. He never attaches himself to a particular outcome, but yet he always acts as though no outcome would surprise him, so that whatever actually happens in the fight, he can come out and say, see, I told you not to rule out that outcome. This is what this bozo was saying in my Facebook boxing group, which is unbelievably disingenuous, because you would have to have a very selective memory to have forgotten all the times that I've come out and said, I think this person's going to win and it's going to be by this method. At the end of the day, when it comes to predicting competitive matchups, that is obviously a lot more difficult than predicting a mismatch. Okay, and I'm talking about predicting the outcome of a mismatch. But the real question is, how well can you tell the difference between a competitive matchup and a mismatch on paper? That's the real question, because for some of these fights, I mean, not that I thought Frampton versus Warrington was a mismatch, but I strongly favored Frampton, and same way with Lee Selby against Warrington, I strongly favored Lee Selby against Warrington. So I clearly wasn't able to discern how competitive this fight really was. And I acknowledged it. But when it comes to recent fights, because this is why individuals like this are coming out the woodwork and trying to give me this criticism, when it comes to recent fights like AJ versus Andy Ruiz, I wasn't ambiguous about whether I thought it would be a mismatch or whether I thought it would be competitive. I nailed my colors to the mast early on and said, this is a dangerous fight. This is a competitive fight. And in fact, I was so adamant that this was a dangerous and competitive fight, I went as far as saying, do not expect a blowout. Do not expect it to be like Wilder versus Brazil, because you're not going to get that. This is dangerous. And on Facebook, I was saying that this fight is, you know, if this fight ends up being easy for AJ, I'll actually be shocked. So if AJ had just dealt with Ruiz easy, I would have been in my post-fight video saying, you know what? I weren't expecting that. So to act as though I don't, you know, nail my colors to a particular mast and, you know, or I didn't nail my colors to a particular mast for that fight and just came out at the end saying, oh, told you not to rule it out because I didn't rule any outcome out. What an absolute lie and a load of bollocks. Yeah, I would have been surprised if AJ had had an easy night. That would have surprised me, and I said so before the fight. Okay, and other fights on that bill, for example, Hassan and Dam challenging Callum Smith. I said that fight would be a mismatch. I didn't try and be ambiguous about it. I said that's a mismatch. And going forward, just so people are 100% clear about my position on certain fights, moving forward, Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwartz. If Tom Schwartz wins that fight, I will be completely shocked. Yeah? Because at least in my mind, I think I have good knowledge of Tyson Fury, decent enough knowledge of Tom Schwartz, enough to say that an upset there would definitely shock me. The AJ Ruiz upset didn't shock me. And the stuff I said before that fight showed that I had advanced knowledge of Andy Ruiz as a fighter, as well as advanced knowledge of AJ as a fighter. It showed it in what I said before the fight, because most people, the majority, thought that AJ versus Ruiz was a mismatch. They nailed their colors to that mast. They thought that was a mismatch. I didn't. My colors were nailed to a different mast. I wasn't covering all bases and acting as though, any eventuality I can come out and say, see, I told you I'm right. No, that's disingenuous to say that. If AJ had dispatched of Ruiz with ease, I wouldn't have come out and said, oh, I expected that. No. Because I nailed my colors to the mast and said, this is dangerous and this ain't going to be easy. Same way with Fury versus Schwartz. That is not going to be an upset. I will be amazed, flabbergasted, shocked if Tyson Fury lost to Tom Schwartz. Yeah? If he does, if that upset happens, I'm not going to be here saying, well, I told you not to rule it out, as this idiot tried to claim in my boxing group that I never take any particular position. Nonsense. Again, it's about demonstrating that you have knowledge of fighters beyond just picking a winner. Yeah, because it's easy to just pick a winner, right? But do you have advanced knowledge? Do you know what kind of fight it's going to be? Do you know what kind of tactics the fighters are going to employ? Do you know in which positions the fighters are going to be most vulnerable in the fight? Do you know how success may come about for a particular fighter in the fight? Are you talking about these things in your pre-fight videos? Or are you just saying, this guy's better than this guy and he's going to win and that's it? Because any idiot can do that, right? How much advanced knowledge do you have of the fighters? Yeah. Again, we all get predictions wrong. Some people more so than others. Yeah. It comes down to putting some detail on your predictions. That's where you really find out whether somebody knows what they're talking about or not. You might not necessarily pick a winner in some cases, but the way the fight plays out is very similar to the way you predicted. You might say, well, you know what? It's a competitive matchup. I don't know who's going to win, but I do think it's going to be a slugfest, probably both going to hit the canvas, and other people might totally disagree with you. But then when the fight turns out that way, it shows that actually you knew what you were talking about and you've been paying attention to those fighters. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Hatman, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.